terrible hosts. We were 1 minute late.
Are you going to do that thing where you start going live before you tell us we're live?
What?
Oh,
yes. That's exactly what I do every time.
You really do. Like
we go live, and then I'm like, "Hey, we're live now." I mean, you told me to go.
Yes, that's exactly.
No, stop. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Okay, so we're live now. Oh, yeah, I see it.
We are live.
Great.
Thank you for.
I didn't get caught saying anything embarrassing.
Someone's already calling us Fick Boys. That's cool.
Calling us what?
Fick Boys.
What's Thick Boys?
Fick Boys. Oh man, you invited Harmon onto our stream, and you don't even know what the word "fick" means.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up?
I got 44% on my phone here, so I guess this is going to end when my phone dies, and well, I can go to my computer, but yeah, c'est la vie, right?
Fick
and I'm
boys.
also sitting on the floor, so Fick Boys is yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I was mishearing it. I thought you said thick, as in THIC, that weird thing. I was like, what the hell is Thick Boys? Like, is that a new kind of thing?
Fick. Okay, so Harmon, do you want to explain? By the way, this is the Drinking with Charles podcast. I've been trying to get that out for a second. I'm your co-host, Jeff Paves.
Hey, everybody.
Owner of Soundbooth Theater and narrator of audiobooks by both of these gentlemen here, Mr. Charles Dean, who is our host, and Mr. Harmon Cooper, who is our guest. I tried to get you to drink earlier, but you just, come on. Cheers.
It's Drinking with Charles. Start with a drink.
Oh, you got to start with a drink. Okay.
I only drank that because this was not ready. Today, I'm drinking some Nika whiskey, which is
nice.
a Japanese whiskey.
Kodai's favorite.
Kodai's favorite from Fantasy Online. And this is actually aged in sandalwood casks. So it gives it a very unique, light, delicious flavor. Hopefully we can get sponsored by Nika at some point. Oh wait, no, Taketsuru. I don't know who the actual brand is. Maybe Nika is like a descriptive. But anyway, we're here with Harmon Cooper, and yeah, Charles.
Hey, everybody.
What do you have to ask Harmon first?
Oh yeah, I was going to talk about. So there's been this like recent development on the Lit RPG forums. I don't know if this is actually recent because it happened about every 3 to 5 months. But there's always this one guy who calls people out and says that if you put sex in your books, you were a bad writer. And I mean, have you seen those threads going around?
Well, I mean, like basically any content we consume as adults has sex. So, I mean, turn on Netflix and watch any show that is interesting and it has sex. So, I mean, I don't take very much whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you want to go read, well, shit, the Bible has sex. If you read between the lines, so
the Bible has incest. It doesn't just have sex.
Yeah.
It has incest. So let's be very specific about this. There is a scene where they say the entire tribe, like one of the tribes, like Lot's tribe, was conceived because 2 daughters had sex with the dad after the wife turned into ash. Or salt.
As
right?
you do.
Anyway.
No, their punishment was getting turned into pillars of salt.
That was if they turned back. The wife turned back and got turned into a pillar of salt. So there was no one to reproduce. And so they ended up having, it was just awful. But no, I was going to say, like, on this subject, I don't put it in every book. And I didn't know if you did. I haven't read every one of your books. I was like, is there a book without it? Because
too many.
I have books where I'm like, I really want to write a scene where these two hook up. And I was wondering if you have that same thing where you're just like, I want to write this scene, but there's no way to put it in that makes logical sense.
Like
it just doesn't fit the characters.
I don't know if every book I've written has sex. I mean, it's hinted at in certain ways. And I mean, honestly, I don't care. Like if the characters are supposed to have sex and then they do. And with the new thing I'm writing that's coming out next month, I kind of just wanted to push that to the limit. So I wanted to go away from even hinting at like these two could possibly have sex and just make them have sex, basically. So That'll be interesting. It's a little different in that regard. Like instead of like, ooh, let's build up to it. It's like, no, these two clearly are supposed to have sex. Why are we doing like a whole book build up to it? Like, let's just get it out of the way. And she's a shifter too, so it makes the sex quite interesting.
Okay, if you had
like
sex,
tentacles. Are you talking about tentacles here?
No, I'm talking about like she's a psychic shifter, so she just kind of goes through his mind and like this dude is a loser writer, so he's watched a lot of porn and stuff, and so he's kind of almost afraid of what's in his mind. So she changes into like Spider Gwen and who the hell ever, and like he's actually kind of into it but not into it. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting.
Did you tell us what the book is that you're talking about?
The book is called Cherry Blossom Girls, and it's named after the French band Air's song "Cherry Blossom Girl," which is a song I love. And I'll show the cover in a minute. I just can't pull it up from my phone, or I probably could.
You have it like on your laptop?
Hey, but I sent it to you, Jeff. Can you pull it up?
I can pull it up.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, because I'm like going right now with technology, and nothing's messing up, and
Yeah. We don't want to disrupt that.
I'm glad you wrote a book for me about a loser writer who gets a shifter girl. Like, that's nice.
He's actually a loser sci-fi writer, and yeah.
Oh, so I have to write sci-fi first.
No, he writes sci-fi gamelit.
Okay, so do you want me to show the one, the whip with the text on it?
Actually, show it without the text because the text is still being modified, and you can show it with the text too. But you got to see the full effect and then get the background story because that's going to make it kind of funny. Prepare thyself, Charles.
I'm well prepared. I'm excited.
Let me bring it up on this other screen.
Have you ever written
the person who lives?
Have you ever written a sex scene where it was like innuendo that two people had sex, and then you had complaints later, like why didn't they hook up, and you were just like, it's right there.
No. No, I've done a lot of robot sex scenes, and Life is a Beautiful Thing. The protagonist is really drunk off a future intoxicant. He has sex with a ladyboy android, and he doesn't realize she is a ladyboy, or he is a ladyboy android until after. And so that's kind of interesting. And I kind of used innuendo for that when he saw like the cock and balls hanging. So
here's a question then for you. Oh, that looks nice. I like that booty.
Here it is, guys.
Looks familiar.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
guys,
I gotta explain.
Don't make noise for a second so that people can marvel at the booty and the glowing hand that may or may not be inserting itself into his chest or something. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Okay. Get up there.
Enough.
Okay, so that's it.
Yes, but they can't see where my hands are.
That's true.
Anyway,
so I have to explain that booty real quick because my wife is an artist and she sent the sketch, or I told her what I wanted, and it's not finished yet. And we sent it to the artist, and it looked like in the sketch that she was wearing a thong. So she sent it back to us like that. But in the final version, she's actually going to be wearing pants.
Is she going to have a bigger booty? Because I feel like that booty could use some extra work.
What?
I actually sent her pictures of booties. Like, this is exactly what I want it to look like. And so my Google searches were pretty weird. I was like, okay, woman in yoga pants, hot ass in yoga pants.
How is that weird?
Well, I mean, first of all, I had the safe, the safe search just happened to be on. So yeah.
You got to drink now because you said something awful. Like, it's not weird for a grown ass man to look at yoga pants online.
Yeah, it is not. Cheers.
But I did send examples and whatever, so it should be legit when it's finished. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Okay, so Cherry Blossom Girls. When is that out?
Next month. I mean, it's being edited right now, and I'm maybe a third into the second book. So next month, and then the following month, another installment. Yeah.
So do we want to talk about the audio?
I think we should, because I think it's gonna be awesome. I want to let you take that over because, we got some awesome ideas for this. Yeah,
so I have been pretty damn busy with everybody else in Lit RPG right now. But Harmon has just been writing way too many books for me to catch up with. For me to keep. I mean, how many series am I working on with? I still want to get back to the feedback loop. Like, I don't think
I'm getting the new cover for that.
I know. I can't wait to be Quantum again. But you just brought out Fantasy Online 3. So that I'm going to start working on next week.
Oh, sweet.
And then,
well, Quantum's in. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Quantum is in book 3, so I at least get to mess with him as a character for a little bit in that book. But since I've been so busy with other projects and you're putting out so much stuff, I still wanted to work with you. I still want to get work for all the Soundbooth Theater people. So we have Justin Thomas James, who will be narrating. And actually, we were just talking about this, that the cover, everyone that's on the cover looks like the people that are going to be voicing them. So Justin is going to be the narrator. He's the main character. Lori Catherine Winkle is going to play Veronique. How do you pronounce Veronique? Veronique? I don't know how to pronounce
Veronique. It's fine in English.
Yeah. Who is the one with the booty there that we're looking at. And Annie Ellicott will be playing Grace, who's on his right side. And then I'm going to be playing the villain and various other bit characters here and there. But there's not a lot of characters in this particular series, right? Because this is kind of like happening in his apartment a lot of the time. Is that what's going on?
So it's basically, it starts off in his apartment. He is just a writer who is sitting in his apartment when the electricity goes off and a woman shows up on his doorstep, and she happens to be a psychic shifter. And it kind of unravels this whole government conspiracy, and that he starts to realize he could self-publish a book about. And so it's all happening to him while he's writing the book. And so he fashions himself as writing creative nonfiction sci-fi gamer lit. And that's what he's working on. And he knows it's going to be a flop, but it turns out maybe, it doesn't come out the way that he thinks it's going to come out. And then of course there's another superpowered woman who is Veronique. And he ends up kind of the weakest guy having a part in their life, even though they're very strong women who could easily kill him, obviously. Yeah,
I'm really excited to produce the audio version of this, obviously. And Justin he is crazy good for how many books he's done. And I can't wait to get all 4 of us on the one audiobook for the first time.
It's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a list of credits. And yes.
Credit roll.
Jeff, I mean, I got to be honest, man. Like, this is stuff I'm going to read on the back of a book. I want to ask him other questions. Get your drink in.
I've been drinking.
I'm not seeing. Just look. Just take the cup. You see, the cup has to have liquid in it first. Then you just go back.
Dude, I can't do the same thing I did Sunday.
The cup is empty. It's fine. It's a really simple trick. I know that it's hard. And then when it's empty, there's magic that goes on. You just take, all of these are empty. Hold on, let me find.
What's your next question, Charles? Stop interrogating.
Yeah.
Stop.
I don't know. I have like a few questions, but y'all just
harassing me and talk to Harmon.
Come on, man.
Interrogate me.
It's going to be the audiobook. There's no surprises there. Like, oh, Jeff Hayes is doing a Harmon Cooper audiobook, and we're all going to buy it.
Okay, but I'm not narrating.
He's not narrating this one.
Justin is.
It's the Justin guy. I talked to him today, the Canadian. He's a weird fella.
You did talk to him?
I talked to him today. Yeah. I say he's weird because he plays as much D&D, it sounds like, as I do. And that's just like, you never run into people like that. My entire adult life, I've never talked to somebody through work or real life means that plays D&D like I do. Like, I'm just like, man, I love this game. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. And I sit there and I show up at one of these things and I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. And then I realized that if I talk about D&D to my friends, they're just like, oh, look at those guys in their basement playing D&D, like, who never have a girlfriend. I've got a wife. What the fuck are you talking about?
Charles, you know what? I got lucky today. And I think that this is an idea that you should maybe take and run with. Have you played those kind of choose your own adventure games that actually had a character sheet and that you actually roll roll your character for, and like you have an inventory and there's stats and everything. And they came out, I think, maybe in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, so here's why I don't play those. Because if I wanted to work with somebody's pre-built adventure and I didn't want to have random stuff, if I didn't want to have somebody's creativity, if I didn't want to sit in an entirely fictional world that I'm having fun being a part of creating and the host is creating too, which is what I feel like D&D is, then I would just play Diablo or something where they've got not only this pre-built world for me, but it's got great graphics. It's got wonderful mechanics.
But this kind of reminds me of the argument that anyone has against lit RPG in general, right?
Yeah, but the lit RPG, it's a pre-built world, but it's like it's a read. Like it's not a choose your own adventure. Like it's not the middle of the road. Like when you read a book, you know what you're getting. You're getting somebody else's fantasy story, and you have to like the person, or at least I feel like I have to like the person who wrote it to a degree. I have to like how they're thinking, and I want to see that. And that's when I'm going for the pre-built worlds that are like in that way. Like I know what you're saying, it's books and all, but I feel like it's different because I'm not playing that. I'm not interacting with that. It's just like, I've had a long day and I just want to relax and read somebody else's story. I don't want to like work on my own.
Okay. Just
I don't know
keep questioning Harmon, by the way. He's here.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah, so
Ready.
Harmon.
Question me.
You talked about void sex, robot sex.
Yeah.
How do you feel like robot sex would actually be relevant? Because couldn't they just like make a chip or something that would instantly make them happy whenever they pressed a button? Like, do you feel like, I mean, if I was a robot, I would probably mess with my programming so that there was like a little button I could press and like have instant orgasm whenever I want. It's like, well, I've got 3 minutes to kill. Ah, there we go.
I meant more humans having sex with androids. I don't think androids would. I don't think androids would have sex with each other. Why they would? There'd be no point. But I think humans would want to readily do it, and I'm sure it's going to be. I can't wait actually till it's something that's happening around me. Like, oh wow, that's like a real thing. I mean, I'm stoked for it.
I know where you're coming from, like the human on robot. But I'm saying, like with robots, do you ever anticipate there being something like sex? Because a lot of people argue, especially women who have really bad lovers, that sex is something that has more emotion than physical interaction sometimes. And I'm like, I wonder how that's going to play out as we develop AIs. And I just, kind of your thoughts on that, since you do have robot sex.
Well, I guess having sex with a robot would be a great way to prevent getting an STD. So that's my thoughts on that.
You don't know where that robot's been.
Yeah, but I mean, there may be some new type of disease that comes out though. That's from, humans having sex with robots. That would be interesting. Like, I don't know, some type of virus. There was a computer joke. Yeah, sorry.
Also, I'd like to apologize to Dave. Woman left because she's already preparing to fake a headache tonight.
Valentine's Day.
I don't know if though, like back to the robot sex though, I don't know if we as humanity will be more interested in robot sex or virtual reality based sex, because then like you don't even have to like go to this shady part of town to find some robot, whorehouse. You could just like put on whatever, we use to dive to these worlds and then just do it right there. And there's definitely no, but I guess where would your splooge go? And you have to clean that up. Yeah, there's all types of complications.
But what if they come up with a way to recycle it? Like, they're recycling everything. Like, what if they have the splooge recycle? Like, where would that go? Like, that's got to have something. I mean, it's like what, 99% water, like 1% solution? It's
a lot of protein too.
No, it's not. That's a myth.
Oh, it's not. That's a myth.
No, it's mostly just liquid.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm going to Google this.
Wait, can't protein be liquid? Liquid and protein are not mutually exclusive.
Or how much of semen is protein? We're going to Google this and find out. 3.4 milliliters contains less than 1 calorie of protein.
Dave Wilmarth says computer virus joke penalty drink.
Now, hold on. I've got to look. You see the color? It doesn't change. And I'm doing this for poor little Ramon, who's trying to call me out. This is the drink I'm doing. It is Sam Adams Cold Snap. I'd like to say Sam Adams is great because at the moment it's one of the cheaper beers I can find thanks to the sales we're having.
Thanks, Sam. So first of all, what's up, Dave? Your Chronicles of Greystone books look so fun, and people seem to really enjoy them. And he's always around causing trouble, and it's great to see. I wanted to talk about my very sponsored drink. Bailey's did not pay for me to give this advertisement, and so I'm not giving it for Bailey's. This is called Poor Man's Bailey's, and what you do is you get some vanilla almond milk and you mix it with amaretto, and it tastes like Bailey's, and you save $20. So,
oh, wow.
What?
You mix vanilla almond milk with amaretto, and it tastes just like Bailey's, and you save $20 because like a bottle of Bailey's is like $30 or something. Amaretto is like $13, and then I already drink almond milk, so boom.
Charles,
I've never had almond milk.
It's good. Get the vanilla kind.
I stick with I've always stuck with whole milk my entire life. Like I've heard these people doing this skim milk and this 2% crap. I always found that weird. It's like, why would you want to cut out the delicious fat and add sugar? Like, don't we have enough sugar in our life that we don't need to put it in our damn drinks?
Yeah, I like blue.
Andrea Parso gave us a suggestion for a name: the Re-Splooger 300.
She's great.
Yeah. I think that's catchy. Sounds very useful.
Re-Splooger, was it 200 or 300?
300. You got to.
Oh yeah, definitely 3. Yeah, 200 model sucked.
Yeah,
it was leaky.
Yeah,
she just trademarked it.
Oh, here's another one for you. I know we're talking about the sex stuff too much, so let's move back. Goblins. I have a great manga rep. Like I found this manga suggestion for you. Have you ever checked out this one called Goblin Slayer?
No.
Goblin's Lair or Goblin Slayer? Goblin Slayer. It's about this guy who does nothing but go around killing goblins. And I was like, I feel like this would be a great book for Harmon. Like, I don't know why, but it just felt like it would resonate with you.
Sounds boring. I know if I'm playing a video game and I come up upon goblins, I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah. That goblins are like the most badass of badasses that ruin towns, and people always overlook them to go fight dragons.
Yeah. Okay.
There's like this one party at the very first chapter starts off with like one party that basically just gets completely killed off by a bunch of goblins. They're like, oh, we're gonna do this easy quest. It's just goblins, and then the whole thing gets wiped out. And I'm just like, should have known better, man. Starting to scrap goblins.
Do a whole album about the remorse you have for killing goblins. First song, should have known better. It just goes. I don't actually like goblins, even though I have to write about them.
Yeah,
I mean, I would hate to have one around, especially the one I write. He's just such a little fucker.
Yeah.
Oh God, he'd argue with me all the time.
So he's like me. Are you trying to say I'm a goblin?
I don't know.
I am a troll. I do argue with people nonstop for no reason at all. I've got like a smart ass mouth. I don't know how I got married, honestly. Like it's Valentine's Day, so I want to shout out to my wife, even though she's left the room. She has to put up with me 365 days a year, and I am awful. Like she wakes up in the morning and she's like, I had this opinion. And my very first thought is like, I can argue with that.
Do you ever, because the way the Goblin in Fantasy Online argues is he'll argue until he'll argue any side. So like you can argue his point and then he'll argue back just because he wants to argue.
No, that's what Charles is describing.
Okay, yeah, you just argue for anything.
So I studied a school called Sophism.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know if you know what Sophism is.
I'm vaguely familiar with it. I think I took that in Philosophy 101.
So
might have been 102.
Sophist has this really negative connotation, but previously what it meant is the idea that you could teach somebody by continuously arguing with them. The more you argued with them, the better you were at arguing, the more have to research, the more they'd have to learn, the more they'd have to think, and eventually they would reach a point of truth through your argument. And so that is the heart and foundation of sophism, which I really liked when I was in college because it let me use a fancy Greek word to describe fucking with people.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So how do you feel now that you're done with a new book?
It's been a weird month. I'm constantly like 6 months ahead as to what I'm planning and what I'm writing. Like Jeff and I have another project that's just that we've been holding off on announcing, but I finished that book in January. And then I finished this Cherry Blossom Girls, and I just released Fantasy Online 3. At the beginning of the month, I released Star Spangled Apocalypse, which Andrea is narrating, and it's been a wild month. I don't really have the same type of attachment I think people have to their first book. Like when an author first finishes a book, it's like, wow, look at this thing I did, and then they'll fucking talk about it forever. I don't know. I kind of took this. There's this Hindu philosophy of like doing without attachment, and I mean, I put my heart, my soul, everything into it, and then I finish it, and then it's done. And so I don't really dwell on it. I just keep moving forward, and maybe that's a bad thing. Like it's something I'd like to dwell more on. So it's something I might try to obsess over my own shit more in the future. I don't know if it would be helpful. But like, if, for example, this month, at the beginning of the month, I published a book that was the very first book I wrote. And I mean, if you counted the amount of hours I put into that book, it would probably include maybe 2 months to 3 months of hours. I mean, because it was the first book I wrote, then I rewrote it in 2010, then I reread it again in 2012, then I, put it away for like 5 freaking years, and I pulled it back out, and then I edited it completely, and then I edited it again, and I cut out 25,000 words, and it's a lot of work. So I don't know. I try not to dwell on that, but it does get to you sometimes, the amount of work that we put into these things.
Yeah. No, and I think do you ever feel like I do, at least when I finish a book, and half of me is really, really happy to be done with the book, and the other half of me is like, it's not ready. Like, even though you're just like, so if you've read War Aeturnus, I don't know if you have, or the
I haven't started yet, but it's on my list. That one that one looks so funny. Like I have so many that I'm that are on my list, because I actually try to read as many from our genre as I can. That's something I try to do. So, I like to see what other authors are doing, and I like to be like impressed by them, and then also like jealous that they thought of this cool ass idea.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go here and ask you, when I finish a book, I feel like a level of depression. Do you ever get that at all? Not just writing books. I mean, just reading books. Hey, get out of the chest hair, woman. This is public. That chest hair is just for you. All right. Sorry, she had to bring me beers. I ran out. I had to text her. It was.
Oh, that's sweet.
I thought 6 beers would be enough to start the stream.
You're already through 6?
Well, you want to see the graveyard?
Yes.
I'm gonna show you the graveyard, and you're just gonna ignore the paper towel and just pretend like it's not there. So we've gotten these beers over here already finished, and these beers over here, and this is the only one I've got left. Little poor bastard. Oh, and we've got that beer over there with the pasta.
It's pasta beer.
Did you pour the beer in the pasta?
I did not pour the beer in the pasta. But yeah, so we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beers down.
Impressive.
No, it's just okay, so I won't lie. One of these beers was drank before the stream. I did not want to go into this sober. I felt like I used to always, when I would go to college, I would take a shot of vodka before every class because I could not stand social events or talking to people without alcohol. I'm like Raj from The Big Bang Theory, except for I'm not a ridiculous trope of myself.
Ridiculous what?
Trope of myself.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I was gonna ask, like, do you ever feel that depression? Like, I get it when I finish reading a book or writing a book, like both of them. Like, I get that, like, man, I just want to stay with these characters longer. I really enjoyed them. I love these characters, and I just hate parting with them. And I especially hate it because I get like reviews that I feel like don't understand my characters. Even some of the good reviews, I'm just like, that's not that.
I think I'm used to finishing books, and then but going back through and editing is kind of, that brings me dread, because you always that. Well, I mean, you know, no, of course I have an editor, but you know, when I want to read through it and improve it, right? And so before I send it to the editor, I always edit it myself and then send it to the editor. So it's been, you know, I got the idea that I wanted. And also because we use stats sometimes and stuff, like I don't put that in originally. I go back in and put it in. And anyway, when you do that, like there's like two things that happen. Either A, you're like, wow, I'm enjoying this a lot. But then I'm also like, it's kind of like the business side of things. Like I'm cleaning it up. So I can't really enjoy it. I'm kind of like chopping it up and trying to figure it out, paste it back together. And then then you also realize that your shit stinks and you're like, oh, well, okay, this wasn't as clever as, I mean, it felt clever when it was coming out like that.
Yeah, I think that's got to be a really important part of the process, right? Like you're only yourself as you're writing you're only one aspect of yourself, right? You come back to it, like even reanalyzing it as yourself, you're like a different version. Like this is the next day, you know, where you have your mind on something else and you're able to take another perspective on it. I mean, it's essentially the same thing as handing it over to a different editor, except you know, you still have a bunch of those biases that you had in the first place when you first conceived of the project.
But there is a way, there is a way to utilize it that I think is kind of fun, and that is if you're writing like an epilogue or something, what I'll do is I'll write the entire book, then go back through, reread it and edit it, and then write the epilogue, right? So it's like, it really is 2 days later, but you know, it's actually more than 2 days later. But like, I really think that does give it, you can utilize that vibe. But yeah, I actually think I was about you, Jeff, and then other narrators, like, I mean, I take narrators' opinions quite highly because they're the ones that have to actually read all this stuff. And I mean, you read more than anyone in our genre, aside from like the people who are on Kindle Unlimited and just, you know, are maybe retired and like reading like crazy. You have to. Yeah. So, I mean, you must see like tropes play out and, okay, I know this theme, you know.
Yeah, that happens for sure.
I can imagine.
But yeah, but it also, I feel like my end, I don't know. I guess I get this a little bit more objective point of view than you authors because of that, right? Like I don't have a horse in the race as far as actually an actual like single story, right? I haven't written anything, but I have a lot of different authors that I'm rooting for because I'm working for you guys, right?
So, Harmon, Ramon reads the most.
That is very true. Well, yeah, Ramon reads the most for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, I was going to let you guys keep going. I had to call it out eventually. I didn't.
100%.
Ramon. Oh, Florian. I got this beta reader. Florian is the boss, but he reads more lit RPG than anybody I've ever met. And when I'm talking to him about lit RPG, he's like, oh, it's just like this in this book and this in this book and this in this book. And I'm just like, I've never heard of any of these books. But I'm glad.
Jay Taylor, Bobby Bjerstrom. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. Those two guys read a shit ton too.
Yep.
Bjerstrom?
Yeah.
Okay, so I say it like a lot of people in my family tree have a BJ, like Bjorn. And apparently it adds like a Y-ish sound after it. But they're all Swedish. I don't know if it's got like some Norwegian or Denmark touch to it. But like Bjorn would be BJORN. And you're just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Or Bjork. Well, that's more Icelandic, but yeah. Bjork. Yeah.
So it just has like a little bit of a Y sound after it.
Yeah, there are some people that read a ton. I mean, I wouldn't be able to write if I read that much. So, you know.
I am not able to write as much as I'd like to, but I love reading, so I can't stop myself. Like, have you ever had those days where you're just like, man, I really should stop reading and I should go work. I'm going to work in an hour, and then like 2 hours pass, and you're like, I'm going to work in an hour, and then 3 hours pass, and then you're like, okay, I'll put down the book and I'll work in like just 20 minutes. That's it. That's all I'll give myself. And like 5 hours pass, and you're like, screw it, I'll go to sleep and work on it tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's like music, though, right? You can't just practice. You have to listen, right? And
you have
to listen to as many people as you possibly can and absorb as many styles as you possibly can, because that all translates into better writing. So, yeah, you may be kicking yourself when you're reading too much, but
yeah, you're absorbing.
Yeah, exactly. You're actually improving yourself as a writer when you're reading other people, and especially if you're writing to market, reading all your contemporaries in that genre, it's very important.
And yes, Adam Coventry from the comment section asked if a lot of people in my family tree have a BJ. Yes, we generally all.
I was waiting for someone to ask that.
Yeah. No, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, there's that's how we roll. We get BJs in the family tree. So apparently, it's we call it game
from robots.
We wrote a scene in the Bible. It's all of that stuff.
Dave Wilmarth. One second, we have an audience question. Dave Wilmarth asks, are Hiccup and Feetwix going to give in to the obvious sexual tension between them?
I think Feetwix is everyone's fan, so anything's game. I mean, he's Swedish. I mean, he's European. Like, I mean, let's do it.
That sounds like a horror show to me.
That sounds like some terrible fanfic.
Like I might even have to put the book down for a second before I move on with that scene.
Okay.
Prepare myself mentally. Say again.
What's wrong with being Swedish?
Nothing, probably.
Nothing at all. I wish I were Swedish.
Goddamn. I mean, I'm half Swedish practically, so I get a little defensive there. I'm like, come on, guys, what's wrong with being Swedish?
Dude, it's awesome over there. My former coworker was from Sweden, and I was like, why are you in Texas? Like, it is about like 1,000,000 times. I mean, shit. I mean, you got everything over there. You got the ice hotel.
I would never go over there, actually. I like Swedish people. Like, it just seems like it'd be really freaking meh.
It's cold.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use, but I just decided on meh. Like, I don't like snow. It gets in the way of me and driving, and that's a problem.
Yeah, you can see the northern lights from there, though. That's kind of nice.
Oh, that is nice. That is nice. So
I like that there's a big rivalry between Sweden and Norway that like no one else in the world gives a shit about. I think that's
no one knows the difference between them either.
Yeah, they have a serious rivalry. Like my former coworker was like, "Oh yeah, that's something like a Norwegian would do," and I'm like, "Oh okay."
Hey, you know why Swedish people look good?
No,
it's because they didn't kidnap the ugly people.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Vikings never kidnapped the ugly people. That's why all Swedes look good.
Hold on, I have an example of that too. My wife is Mongolian, and the Mongolians, the people they would kidnap were usually like the more beautiful women, and the women there were very beautiful. The most beautiful women I've seen in the world were in Mongolia, and it's a country with like 2 million people, 3 million.
I heard your wife likes spicy food.
No, they don't eat spicy food there, but she likes it.
Yeah, I heard she likes it. I was watching one of the threads, and I saw that your wife was apparently a fan of spicy food. And I've got to ask, have you ever had spicy horse meat?
The spicy what?
Horse meat.
Horse meat.
No, but I have had horse anus, which was fucking gross.
Whoa!
So there you go. Yeah. It was kind of. Hold on. It was kind of pushed on me. Like it was their Lunar New Year celebration, and they're like, "Oh yeah, come over to this guy's house. They have all this meat. Here, taste this meat." And I taste it. He's like, "Ha, that's a horse anus." And I'm like, and I was pissed, man. It was just a sausage, but I'm like, come on, dude. How are you going to do me like that?
It's okay. Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. I had friends who were from Mongolia, and we were doing something, and they had this milk. I don't know if you've had that yet.
Yes, I have. It's called, I was thinking of the word we use in Thulian for it. Adig. It's called adig.
Okay,
it's fermented mare's milk.
I don't know why, but I really loved it, and I should not have, because apparently everyone else said that was terrible. And I'm just sitting here like, well, my taste buds must be awful because this shit's delicious.
It's good. It's good.
I had that, and I had spicy horse meat, and I was like, man, I need that recipe. Like, I just want to have that. And then I looked it up because I was like, I shouldn't like horse meat. It tasted good, but I was like, what the hell is wrong with this? And so I looked up why we don't have horse meat in the U.S. because we have so many horses that just die from use. And I'm like, why would you use
It's good meat. It's very lean.
Yeah, and apparently when they introduced horse meat during one of the world wars or something, like, it was so delicious that people wouldn't stop eating it. It was cheaper. It was more available. It was and people wouldn't stop eating it. So they had to outlaw horse meat in, like, the U.S. just to prevent people from, like, farming them. I was like, wow. The U.S. had a horse meat issue. I did not realize that. Because,
whenever I hear horse meat, I just think of oh no, what's his name? He's a UFC fighter who always used to talk about how he ate horse meat and that's why he was so buff. But that was just his excuse. That was just his excuse for using steroids.
Steroids?
Yeah. Damn it, Alistair Overeem. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a horse meat joke guy.
I forgot to say this. I've been munching on this, but I actually got you. I got you chocolate, Harmon. I got chocolate for the stream because of Valentine's Day. I wanted you to know that. I thought of you.
Sweet.
Nice. Where's my card?
You don't get one because I don't believe in paying $6 for a printed out meme.
Hey, you could just printed me a card. Oh, I printed you one off my black and white printer here. It works, right? I ran a pink highlighter over it. Oh man.
Can we all agree
we need to get some horse meat?
Can we all agree that, like, Hallmark just basically trolls Reddit for like hours and then decides like what they're going to take from 2008 and then prints that off and sells it for $6 a pop? And I'm just like, that is the best business model I've ever heard of. Like, how did you make your living? Well, I went on Reddit. I thought that was funny. I printed it off and I sold it to some chap for $6 a pop.
I think in that movie, Her, he was he came up with greeting card quotes and stuff. That would be a shit job, man.
I would hate that so much.
Oh God.
Oh God. What would be the worst job you've done? Like, you've got to have had more than one job. Like, I feel like all writers have had at least 2 jobs. What's the worst of the potential slew of employment opportunities you've had?
One time I worked actually for I wouldn't even consider it one time because it was at least like almost a year and a half. I worked at a 7-Eleven and I had to stand on the road with like the fucking Slurpee sign and like wave it around, like, come get our whatever tropical bullshit Slurpee in Cedar Park, Texas. So that was bad. There are other ones, but that's like the first one that came to my mind. Yeah, I worked at a coffee shop called the Jailhouse Coffee Shop. And that was also bad because it was across the street from the Williamson County Jail. That was very bad too.
Did you ever have funny slogans to go with your Slurpee?
No, I just like to. I actually enjoyed working there to see like people waste money because like like the truck drivers would come in and just blow like $50 on lottery tickets, go out to their truck, come back, blow 50 more, win $30, go out to their truck, scratch some more. I mean, like it was interesting. They gambled for me. I didn't have to use my own money, so.
I have to be fair. That is something I remember observing and being like, why would you continuously put yourself in debt when you know you're not going to win? Like, you really think that would be the $50,000 one?
Yes, they do.
I mean, it's basically you're not betting that you're going to make money off this endeavor. What you're betting is that you're going to make more money than the next guy. Like, you're going to be the one who wins that one ticket. But if you look at like the 5 years of tickets you purchased, every single one of those was like a sunk cost. You spent like $50,000 and you got like a $20,000 payoff at most.
Yeah. It's and they have like all their strategies. Like, this is the coin I use. Like, what number is that roll at? Oh, it's at number 35. Oh man, the winning ones are usually between 35 and 38. Okay, I'll take all three. Like shit like that never worked. But you could also join in their excitement.
I don't know how you have a lucky number if it hasn't worked once. Like, I've been very confused about that. Like, I used to watch people buy lottery tickets and I'd be like, you have 8 numbers. You all claim are lucky, yet not a single one of them has shown up ever. You're just a failure. Like, stop it. Stop failing.
I hate you.
Yeah, my dad is pretty big into scratch offs and I just don't even try to argue with it. Now I'm just like, whatever, man. Like, whatever. But there was a time in my life, and I shit you not, this time was in the last 2.5 years, where I moved back to America. I was poor as fuck, and he would give me those lottery tickets to put gas in my car, which is crazy. Because I had moved back to America. I didn't have a job yet, and my writing wouldn't able to support me yet. And so I was living with him while I was looking for a job, and he would say like, hey, I won $10, go put it in the car and get yourself a coffee or something. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
I kind of want a mohawk. I know this is random. I'm a little bit trashed right now, and I'm just looking at my hair, and I'm like, look at it poking up. I wish I had a thick enough head to get like a mohawk with a beard, so I could be like the dwarf character I play in like a lot of games.
Yeah,
just do it.
That would be good. I've actually thought that quite a few times on streams with you. Like, that just kind of naturally happens.
Should get a Viking helmet.
Okay, my screen went black, so if I disconnect, I apologize.
Uh-oh.
Wait, I see you. Wait, there you go.
There we go. No, actually, it's a fun thing. Is my goal in life has been to get a beard that is just perfect enough for my wife to braid. Like, I want like the big braided beards that the dwarves walk around with, like, oh, manly beard.
Yeah, do it.
Fucking awesome. Like, I apologize for the language ahead of time. If any little cunt crust has an issue with my foul language, I apologize ahead of time. I don't mean to offend any cunt hagglers out there. But I want the biggest fucking beard possible. Like, when you see this fucking beard, I want you to be like, this is the most majestic thing in the world. I don't want you to look at this and just be like, this guy's a neck beard. I want you to look at this and be like, this guy is the neck beard.
It's like your moniker. Well, I have to compliment your beard, because that was like the first thing I noticed. I was like, damn, he's serious with that beard. So you might be doing it, man. You just don't know you're doing it yet.
I'm working it up because I'm from the South, and I don't know if you know this about the South, but
I'm from the South as well, so I definitely know it.
People don't cut their beards often. I remember when I was leaving, so I got a friend of mine from the Marines to give me a ride from brain fart, Camp Lejeune all the way to Ohio. And when I'm sitting here and I'm just like, yay, I made it. But on our way, we had to stop in like Virginia. And my friend was in the Marines for quite a long time, so he had no facial hair at all, right? And we go into a gas station in Virginia. And it's funny because like the people at the counter like all stopped and turned and looked at him and just were like, oh, it's one of those pretty boys. I was just like, yes, that is the perfect description for an ex-Marine. A pretty boy. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
This is I'm going to show you one of my favorite beard type things. It's not technically a beard, I don't think. But it's pretty epic and dwarfish.
You gotta lower the camera, Harmon.
This
get a lot of forehead.
This dude's, I think his name's Mike Beltran.
Yeah.
He's
oh my god.
He's a UFC ref.
Hold on, let me take that beard. You know what the best part is? It blends in with his mustache perfectly. Like, well,
I think
his beard mustache combo. I'm gonna say that is some high quality beardage. That is like full on dwarf warrior and or paladin beardage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that beard could kick someone's ass.
Yeah. I feel like that beard would punch Chuck Norris's beard in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It'd choke him. Yeah. Sorry, Chuck.
I don't know. I mean, Chuck Norris's beard still wins. It's Chuck Norris.
Yeah, but he would at least get a sucker punch in that fucking gave him a bloody nose or something.
Yeah.
So got started writing after you got back, you said you were unemployed. Where were you before? You said, I think we've had this conversation like at least 2 or 3 times, but you'll have to forgive me. Inebriation prevents remembering anything. Where were you before you got back to the States, and how did you end up being a writer again?
I've been writing for a decade, and that 2008 piece you sent me. I moved to actually first self-published in 2011, but then I moved to Asia, and so I just kind of let that drop off. And while I was in Asia, I ended up starting ESL publishing house in Mongolia, and so then I spent a good amount of time in Mongolia and Japan, and then India and Nepal, and I've also been to Bhutan and Korea. And and so I moved back to America because I wanted to marry my wife, but I want to do it here, and it turned out to be a good move for me. So, I actually prefer to live in Asia if I could.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. If my wife didn't work with like military nonsense, I would be back in Korea in a heartbeat, because honestly, the quality of life is better.
It's a lot better. And like, I mean, like my writing salary, you can live like a damn king in Asia.
I live in the Philippines and just be like, whatever, Duterte, I don't care. Just let me get this like tiny little place on the island. Like, I don't need anything.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, whatever, Duterte. Here's some money. Okay, that's fine.
No, I mean, I'm going to say, as somebody who was also ESL for quite a while, they really don't have enough material. Like, if you were publishing books, that's a huge market, because the amount of material that properly gears itself towards adults trying to learn English versus like kids trying to learn English is just like non-existent. Like, I'm sure you had a field day there.
We did both, and we kind of had a captive market because all the books were published for the private school in Mongolia, which was the #1 private school in Mongolia. So all the students were forced to get the books anyway. So yeah, you kind of had a captive market. And then we did e-publishing and stuff too. And so I did a lot of research in that. And I had first, as I said, done it in 2011. And that's when I realized, like, you know what, man, I'd much prefer to go out on my own. And I kind of had a rift with the publishers. And that's when I started publishing my own stuff. And I mean, it turned out to be a great move. So
I bet it was fun. And so you ended up moving towards, like, I guess, full-time writer when you hit more success, or was it like a slow transition?
I'm still not a full-time writer. I write full-time, but I still work full-time as well. Yeah.
Where do you work?
Because I work in international programs, and so I do like things that are related to DHS, and I would prefer to go full-time right now, but I just moved from Texas to Connecticut, and the expense is a lot different. And so I probably will go that way in the next year and a half or so. So I'm kind of building up to do it, because I'm also the only income earner as well. So
yeah, I've got to follow this up. How did it feel moving from like the South to the North? Because this is my first time living up north, like north of the Mason-Dixon. And it's kind of like, I like the number of breweries around. Like, it's not as many as I had back in Atlanta, but I can't stand the prices. Does it ever bother you when you're just like, this steak should be easily worth like $5 at best? And then they're like, well, it's a $12 steak because it's good. And you're just like,
yeah. I mean, everything is more expensive here than it is in Texas, but the quality of life is better, I would say. I mean, and it's really hot in Texas, and it never isn't hot except for maybe 1 to 2 months out of the year. And so having lived in cold countries, I kind of wanted a little bit of variation. So
I definitely like the cold countries. I agree with you there, but man, I miss the South in terms of prices and like what you could get away with.
The prices are legit.
Like the amount of like space you could buy, like I could get a 2 or 3 acre place for the price I pay on rent here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I've had this conversation with Sigil Online author Jeff Sproul frequently. Like, you can like live in like he lives in a cabin in the woods, and I mean it's I think he bought it. It's dirt cheap, but then like I live near Yale University, and there's a lot of things for me to walk around and see, and it's very inspirational. So it's kind of what you choose. Like my final goal is to end up in Chicago or Brooklyn. That's the kind of person like my wife and I are, kind of people we are. And so I'm kind of building up towards that. So I'm kind of just buckling down and, working towards that.
Well, I mean, it seems like Chicago would be cheaper than Connecticut.
Chicago is. It's just, I really wanted to get out of Texas. And so I had a job offer, and it was more in line. It would let me write more, basically. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take it for now. It's only for the next 1 or 2 years as I, continue to build up my brand. It could even be sooner. It just depends on, you never know when a book's going to be like an actual hit and what that hit could do. Right. I mean, there were authors I was talking to 1 year ago today that are just destroying it now. And so you just really never know, if you put the time in, what you can do. Okay.
I got to ask you this question. I asked Blaze yet last time. If you could drink with one other author, like somebody you haven't met yet, you haven't gotten trashed with, who would it be?
I would drink with Luke Chimilenko, Canadian author of Ascend Online. I talk to him daily.
The guy that wrote this wonderful, majestic book I think anybody should purchase. If you have a chance, Luke Chimilenko's Ascend Online. I got this nice little signed copy, and you might see a beer holder stain on it, but honestly, that's because I run out of space on my desk.
Yeah, he's actually in my new book, and so I think that might be kind of fun and meta. So I asked him, is it cool if I could put you in my new book? Because I really wanted, here's what I wanted the author, or excuse me, the main character who is an author, to have this anonymous friend that he talks to in another country about writing as all these things are going on. So I'm excited to be able to do that. And it would be very much,
I'd like to also let you know, Harmon, that there may or may not be a racist furball guard named Cooper in my new book. Like, I don't even know what's going on. He may or may not have a horrible death in the new book. I don't know. Like,
that's good to know.
But Cooper and you are not related. There's tons of Coopers besides you. So for legal purposes,
I guess I can't sue then.
Sorry, man. There's no defamation. It could be based off that Cooper that I saw on TV like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that other Cooper.
Yeah.
So I would have a beer with him.
And you would have a beer with Luke. I can agree with that.
Beer. Hold up. Beer and wings. We've talked extensively about beer and wings, so we would have beer and wings.
And you were a spicy food lover too, or just your wife?
Ask that again. I'm sorry.
Are you spicy lover too, or is it just the wife? Because I know in Texas there are the butter folk and there are the spice folk.
Oh, come on! I can handle spice. I lived in India too, so.
Okay. That is definitely spicy. Or as I like to call India, a place where you never have to worry about needing a laxative.
Dave Wilmarth says dragon wings.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's called Deli Belly.
Well, look, guys.
But you know what's worse?
And as much as I'd love to just sit here and chat with you guys for 2 or 3 hours, I remember you said you had to go in an hour, didn't you?
Yeah.
But before I go, I got to tell you about the Burmese dragon, because it's just a story that needs to be shared. So Deli Belly obviously is after you eat food in India, you get sick as shit and you shit a lot. I had a friend, and he's still there, who is a journalist in Burma, and it's called the Burmese dragon there, and it's when you're going both ways at the same time, and so vomiting and number 2. And he had this happen to him on a bus, and he literally ran off the bus. Like, he got so sick from the food, ran off like shitting and vomiting, and they just all sat quietly on the bus and watched him do it, and then get back on the bus, like wipe his mouth, get back on the bus, and like, okay, we can keep going now. So,
Oh, it's just one of those dragons, guys. Just give it a minute. It'll be okay.
Hey, wait, Charles. I think Charles passed out.
Charles? Passed out? What happened?
Charles. He said it was 8 o'clock. He's going.
He's like, fuck you. I tried to end my show. You kept talking. Fuck you guys.
That's a great way to end the show.
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I got a black. I had this random thing. Like, I got to hear what you were saying, but my screen just goes black, and I'm just like, oh, that's really nice. And it only happens when I'm browsing the internet. Like, if I'm actually sitting at my computer playing a video game, I can go 14 hours on the video game, not a single black screen. If I'm trying to type up and work on my projects, it's like, hey, well, you wanted to finish that sentence? Now you can't see that sentence. Have fun. Which, by the way, I want to thank you for the speech to text. Amazing. Life-changing. I was able to finish a lot more writing yesterday without having, like, hand cramps. Did I speak or is that... Okay, that was you.
No, we heard you. Speech to text sounds like it.
Yeah, I've never tried it before because I type faster than I talk most of the time. But, yeah, I tried it last night. And it was freaking amazing. I was sitting there, I was like, my hand doesn't kill me after 6,000 words of writing.
It's the way of my future.
Yeah. The only problem is now that I'm drunk, I'm going to like get on there and I'm going to be like, all right, Google, we're going to do this. And I'm going to sit down and be like, Google, I'd like you to say that Lee used his sword to, and then Google's going to have like,
oh, you don't want to see what they,
the org too. And I'll be like, God damn it, it's not a Star Trek reference. Get that crap out of my book.
All right. Well, hey guys, you guys want to wrap it up here?
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah. So,
hold on. Let me wrap this up really quick. Just hit the button. You guys need to know about SBT Theater. If you haven't tried any of what's that guy's name? Hayes something. Jeff Hayes' books. You need to check out Jeff Hayes' books. But we're also going to be doing an event Sunday. I just confirmed it. I got the confirmation in a minute ago. From James Hunter. So we're going to have James Hunter on this Sunday for episode 3. And we're not going to be running. We're going to try to get a dedicated YouTube stream so you guys can hit the subscribe button and always be aware of this. But we've got James Hunter for Sunday. And we got Apollos Thorne. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Is that it? Just Apollos Thorne for Tuesday.
He's cool. He's my buddy.
So next you said Tuesday?
Yeah. So this Sunday coming up, we've got James Hunter. And Tuesday coming up, we got Apollos Thorne. But Apollos Thorne doesn't drink. So when we show up Tuesday, we're going to have to be doing a snobby British accent day where we're all going to be drinking tea, crumpets, and having the most ridiculous British accents possible to represent the fact that this guy is living the healthy lifestyle and he doesn't drink. And so we're going to be properly cheery.
I don't know that crumpets are legal in Kansas City. I'll have to check on that.
Maybe the other Kansas City.
Just light a guy on fire twice and have a biscuit.
The other Kansas City, man. It's fine over there.
I mean, you mean go to Kansas and get some? Is that what you're saying? Kansas City, Kansas?
Oh, I'm looking forward to the next shows. Those guys are great. I've read James's new book, Where God's Mantle, and I read Codename Freedom. And yeah, Apollo's great. I actually reference Apollo in Fantasy Online with one of the potions.
Yeah, Cherry Apollos. Cool. Yeah,
Cherry Apollos. He's a cool guy. He's really positive, and he kills it. So congrats to him.
He's one of the first friends I think I made on Facebook. Like Blaze and Apollos. I've been friends with him since I don't know when, but he's one of the first people I've reached out to, and I was like, man, I just want to get friends with you after reading your book. And I felt really embarrassed because I get black screen. Great.
No, you're still there.
You're alive.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay.
Well, I guess
hey, I'm going to go ahead and do the wrap up. Since
Jeff, and hey Jeff, don't tell them about Monster Hunt NYC, nor show the cover right now.
I won't tell them about that or show them the cover. We'll show them next time.
We should show somebody soon. Maybe when she finishes, just because it's gorgeous.
Well, yeah. Once it's finished, it's nice. And maybe I don't know. Maybe we're gonna be recording some of it, or probably the whole thing while Annie's here.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I mean, this is gonna be the first time we actually record an audiobook and sit on it for a few months because we have so much other stuff to do to it. But
it's gonna be weird. Anyway, but yeah, let's make it worth it.
It's going to be great. We'll talk. We'll have you back on Drinking with Charles again in another couple months.
Cool.
Just so we can talk about that once it's closer.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
There he is.
We're trying to wrap it up. Don't interrupt us.
Camera to work. It's telling me that the camera's not detected, and honestly, I have to reset the computer to get it. So you have to deal with this for a minute. Okay, I was just saying.
Is your camera drunk?
My camera, I think about like I am. I am now 9 beers in. Trying to work on 10. I mean, we only had an hour, so I tried to pressure it, and I know that Jeff drank like a. I wouldn't say a fish. I would say more like a beached whale who couldn't find water.
Yeah, I did. Last time I did. Today I took it way more easy because I have to work after this. But okay, so we're wrapping it up now.
I'm gonna hang up first.
All right,
bye everybody.
First, Harmon. All right,
peace. Bye everybody.
Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us, watching this stream. Please subscribe to the Soundbooth Theater live YouTube channel if you have not already.
Oh,
and yep.
Hold on, Harmon. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you coming. I'm sorry I took up so much of your day on Valentine's Day, but go have fun with your boner and pill. I mean, Netflix and chill or whatever you're doing on Halloween. I'm sorry, Valentine's Day.
All right, he's gone. So so please subscribe to the Soundbooth Theater Live YouTube channel. For now, if you want to keep watching Drinking with Charles, Charles will actually be setting up a new YouTube channel specifically for this podcast very soon. So keep an eye out on the Soundbooth Theater Live Facebook group because we will always be talking about Drinking with Charles as soon as we know about it on the Facebook group. Say again?
I'm always going to be stealing one of them too. Like I always want to have like a third person so that if I get too drunk and pass out, there's somebody there to carry.
Right. Yeah. Some SBT crew member will be with Charles whenever he does his podcasts. But it will mainly be me. But Justin likes the idea of co-hosting as well. We'll see how it goes. But so subscribe to that. Subscribe to Charles's channel once he has it up. Go to the Soundbooth Theater Live Facebook group to always get updates.
Prepare for Sunday. James Hunter. The best.
Sunday we will have James Hunter.
James Hunter
absolutely.
is one of the top lit RPG writers. We got him coming in. We got Apollos Thorne coming in. And I'm still debating on how we're going to schedule up Sunday, but I think we've got either Dawn Chapman or we're going to do a video game session where it's going to be me and Hugo getting completely plastered and playing StarCraft 2 on a stream for y'all to watch us talk about books while just getting wrecked by some, I'm guessing, Korean guy in StarCraft.
Probably Korean. Probably.
I mean,
like, just look at the numbers. Yeah. So, and also, last but not least, go buy War Aeturnus on audio on audible.com. That's Charles's latest book. I believe you're working on the sequel, right? What are we looking at as far as release date for War Aeturnus 2?
So just to give you like a guesstimate on what's going on, like for instance, chapter 4 for War Aeturnus was 15,000 words. And, we're basically averaging between 12 and 14,000 words a chapter. We're 5 to 6 chapters in. We've got the prologue coming out. We're going to have to redo the prologue a bit. I put the prologue up as a potential or chapter 1 up, either one of those to be read on SBT Theater, but I guess nobody wanted to check that out. But it's going to be a little bit more dark than War Aeturnus 1 was. Like War Aeturnus 1 was a little bit happy-go-lucky, and I want to have more blood, more violence, more just good old fight scenes, a little bit more stats. I want to definitely get into the crafting more, so you're going to see more crafting in War Aeturnus 2. You're going to see Miller is going to be a little bit not as pronounced in War Aeturnus 2 for 2 or 3 chapters. He will be there for all of the other chapters, but there is going to be a small, tiny period where it's like what I like to call Augustus development time, in which Augustus is going to be kind of like on his own, getting that character development that he needs. Because if you've read War Aeturnus 1, I don't think this is a spoiler alert to say that if you're dragged into another world and forced by an angry drunk god to help out NPCs, you're not exactly 100% hero material. Like You're there because you have to be. You're not there because you want to be. And so to help with the character development, we've got like a small, tiny period of alone time where it's just solo, lots of fights, lots of like Augustus not Augustus. I'm just saying Augustus too much. Lee doing Lee things. Lee is just hammering down. Like we've got him fighting. We've got him fighting exploding things. We've got him fighting things that go bump in the night. We've got like ridiculous acidic monsters coming out of nowhere. We've got a lot of good fights set up for him that will help with his character development. And I hope this isn't too much.
No, I think that's a good little preview, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to read it myself. I can't wait to produce it. But yeah, if you guys want to check out what we're talking about, go look at War Aeturnus on Audible.
Oh,
it's
we also have one of the big things, the themes for War Aeturnus 2 is a lot of people criticized, and I mean, I saw this as a legitimate criticism if you didn't pay attention. They like, I spelled stuff out for a bit, but I don't think a lot of people got it. But a lot of people were talking about Miller's character and like what's her name's character, Amber's character. And I got to write about these characters in a few minutes, so this is going to be fun. Miller, Amber, Ling are going to be like the starting characters. You're going to see them in book chapter 1 like right away, because that's like the core for the group. And I wanted to kind of expand for book 2 on how their character flaws mesh with each other, because one of the themes about War Aeturnus is that no person is perfect. Like every single person in War Aeturnus is not a carbon copy of like a, what I like to call the RPG hero, where he's just ridiculously good for no reason at all, and he doesn't have any flaws for no reason at all. Because I can't imagine putting somebody, like for me, I have trouble imagining putting somebody in a world where they have to kill people on a daily basis and not having a little bit of shock. Like you can't kill somebody, like take a human's life and then not have some sort of flaw develop in you. You can't, you're not immune to that. We're all people. We all have emotions. And we know that if we're killing somebody who has thoughts and feelings and family, it's going to impact us a little bit. So I wanted to take the way that these flaws, like what they've gone through and all of that, really just kind of like, I wanted to expand it. And that's what's causing a little bit of a slowdown on War Aeturnus 2. So it was set to be released, I want to say around the 25th of February, but I think we're going to probably, like at this rate, we're going to probably finish the final book by February 27th, 28th. And then we're going to probably start the hard edits by early March, like 5th or 6th.
Okay.
So, I mean, just to give you like some time.
Not too long. It seems like pretty reasonable considering the size of the first one. How big is the second one?
Let me just, if you can give me a minute, I can actually give you a word count of what we're at right now.
Okay.
I got to go to the drive. If you guys can read off my glasses, you'll be able to get spoilers for the entire book.
Quick, everybody.
Here's the Book of Lee.
Stare into his eyes.
Here's War Aeturnus 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. If you guys can do this stuff up, you'll get all the spoilers. So chapter 4 was 15,000 words. Let me check out. Chapter 3 is 11,000, so that was a bit heavy. I mean, we did about 9,000. Chapter 2 was 13,000 words. And chapter 1 was a little over 10. And that's before we've added in all the stats too. Like
some like an average of 12,500.
Yeah, we're looking between 12 and 12 and a half for 5 chapters already. So plus the prologue, I'm guessing we're at about 60 to 70,000 words right now. So we're about halfway through what the book is. The difference is I didn't really start this till near end of January because I had a lot of thinking to do about it. And will there be an audible version of Bathrobe Night 2 and 3? Absolutely. We've got the audio of Bathrobe Night 2 was actually scheduled for January. And the little bastards delayed it. The narrator's wife had a big issue and she ended up in the hospital. And I told the guy, I was like, man, I love to get my books out early. I know my fans really want it, but I think that any good upstanding person is going to understand that you got to be with your wife and not with the book. So Bathrobe Night 2 will be a little bit late. He's already told me that it should be within this week. He should be finishing, if not next week. So we should have that finished in this week or next week, and then it'll take 1 to 2 weeks to get it through Audible.
Good.
As far as 3 goes, he's going to start on it as soon as he finishes 2.
I hope the best for his wife, man. I don't know what's going on, but that sounds awful.
We were supposed to get it done by Christmas. Honestly, it was really depressing to have that really delayed out.
Man. Well, it'll come though. I mean, sometimes these things get gummed up, but yeah. Anyway, well, that's enough of us blabbing about. We will see you guys on Sunday. hopefully, with James Hunter. Oh, what?
What's your next audiobook, Jeff?
My next audiobook is going to be The Red Plague by Harmon Cooper, the third book in the Last Warrior of Unagaia series. I have to call my editor and send. He's just, I don't know. He writes these weird books.
He's that guy that J.K. Rowling told me was Chinese.
Yeah, that guy. So Last Warrior 3 should be coming out in the next couple of weeks, guys. So, we got IO Online, Greystone Chronicles Book 1, and we got Death and Axes, Pangea Online Book 1 coming out. We got lots of Soundbooth Theater stuff just lined up to come out very soon. We're actually going to be like rapid firing 3 or 4 books here pretty quick because they've all been kind of stopped up in the production process. But things are working themselves out, and we'll be moving pretty soon. So we'll see you guys Sunday, hopefully, and check back on the Facebook group, on the Soundbooth Theater Live Facebook group for whenever the new channel for Drinking with Charles is up. So yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll
call Jeff a little bit of one of those little dollop there, boys, because he didn't drink enough. Like I'm seeing that cup was empty, man.
Dude, I drank some of this. Like I don't know, it was like this much whiskey.
You had a double shot over an hour, man. Come on, do it better next time.
And I had my cider.
Yeah, no excuses. You can hit the live button. I expect to see more of you next stream.
All right. Well, it'll be Sunday. It'll be more appropriate. Okay.
All right. Take it easy.
Later, guys.